Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Reclaiming Your Health. I am C.C. Péan. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. I'm glad that you took the time to spend just a few moments with me this evening because I know something big is happening tonight at 9 o'clock. So it actually worked out that we changed our time from 10 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. So you all can learn how to make a heart-healthy dessert and then go on and possibly eat the dessert to calm your nerves while you're watching debate tonight. So this evening, what we're going to make is a seasonal dessert. It is pumpkin pie chia pudding with coconut cardamom whipped cream. Now I make this whipped cream to go with everything. I use it on my French toast. It is delicious. Cardamom is a flavor that reminds me of my mother. My mother was from Guyana, South America, and there's a heavy British influence there, along with Native Indian and East Indian and African and Dutch and Chinese and all these things. But Christmas time in particular was a lot of baking in our home. And cardamom was one of the spices that was used. And when I was in culinary school, I had a girlfriend who made me some buns one night, and it had cardamom in it. And it just was like a ratatouille moment for me. It just took me back. And so ever since then, I've been looking for reasons to use it. And as I thought about making a dessert that's really luscious and comforting, cardamom came to mind. So I knew that I had to use this in some kind of way. So this dish tonight, we're doing it because you all have asked for something sweet. We've done quite a bit of savory. I think this will probably be our first sweet entree or dessert or dish or whatever, our first sweet. But I wanted to make sure that it still maintained its nutritional density, that it was still good for us, and then just so happened to be delicious. Because that's something that I say all the time, that I fix incredibly delicious food that just so happens to be good for you. So tonight, this is super, super simple. If this is the first thing you've ever made in your life, you're gonna knock it out the park. It is super simple. We have chia seeds we're gonna use. Any kind of plant milk will work, but we're gonna use oat milk. I love oat milk because to me, in terms of richness and thickness, it's the closest to whole milk. So I love using I love using oat milk in sweet dishes. We're gonna use some pumpkin. We have a half cup of pumpkin, just pureed pumpkin, not pumpkin spice or pumpkin pie filling, straight pumpkin. Because again, we want to control everything that's going into our bodies. And if we use something that's canned and packed full of preservatives, we're in a bad area. So we're also going to use 5 dates that I have soaked in hot water for about an hour. What else? We're going to use some of my ginger paste. I love to always kick up my things a notch with something. And I know you've heard me talk about layers of flavor. So this is how we're going to intensify our flavor with some ginger puree. We have got pumpkin spice here, pumpkin spice mix, which is cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and cloves. Let's see what else I have. I have a little bit of vanilla extract, and I think that's it. But the first thing that we're going to make, because we're gonna make this, we're gonna put it in the fridge, and then we're gonna actually put the pudding together. The first thing we're gonna do is our coconut cardamom whipped cream. And so if you follow the directions, overnight you should have chilled a can of coconut milk. This is important because what happens is when you open it, all the cream would have solidified and come to the top. That's what you need. You don't need any of the liquid, you just need the thick cream layer. Now, I know that there is a company, I think it's called Nature's Charm, that sells this. It is specifically for coconut whipped cream, but it's like $5 for a can. And this is $1.99. It's the same thing. just use this. So I'm gonna open this up, and I have my little mixing bowl that I had chilled in the refrigerator and freezer for about 10, 15 minutes. It's warmed up a little bit since I've been talking, but you're gonna take the lid off carefully, and you see that? So we're gonna put this in our bowl, and we're gonna carefully scoop the cream off the top. Now, some of it may be liquefied, but just make sure you get what is white. When you start to get down to anything clear, you don't want it. You want what's white, because that is what is going to whip up into this incredibly delicious, creamy, comforting yumminess. And I'm telling you, once you all learn this recipe, you're gonna start using it on all kinds of things. So this has a good amount of cream in it. So there we go with that. Just get this off the spoon. Okay. And to this, I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. Pinch of salt. I'm going to add, let me make sure I tell you correctly, a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. About a 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom. If it's something you love, you might want to use a little more. If not, you don't have to. You can always use cinnamon as well. And we have a 1/4 cup here of Lakanto monk fruit sweetener, the confectioner's sugar version. Now this is the golden, but this, they also have a confectioner's sugar. This is made from monk fruit. It's not regular sugar. And what's great about this is your body doesn't process it the same way. It's not gonna make your insulin shoot, your insulin levels shoot up. So this is a great substitution. There's also this erythritol, which is a all-natural sweetener. They have this in confection sugar, a variation as well. So before we put that in though, I'm gonna just take my blender and we're gonna just start whipping this up. Now I want you to see how it starts, okay? And we're just gonna turn this on. And blend. What I'm gonna do, as this breaks down, I'm just gonna start to incorporate the sugar, confectioner sugar into it. One of the reasons I'm very sensitive about using sugar in dishes, real sugar in dishes, is because that's something that people of color really struggle with, excess sugar and excess salt in their diets. And if you're somebody who, for example, is struggling with cancer, sugar is the last thing you need to be taking in, but you still might want a treat every once in a while. So this is a way to do that without using processed and refined sugar. So we're gonna add a little bit of this to it. Continue to blend. And what you're gonna see is that very shortly, I don't know if you can see that it's starting to thicken up. We're just gonna continue. This is probably the longest part of this recipe, other than just waiting for the pudding to set up. I wanna do this first, and then we'll get to the pudding. Turn that up. Is anybody on tonight? Is anybody watching? Do you have any questions? You want to talk about chia seeds? The great thing about this dish is that not only is it yummy, but it's good for you. Chia seeds are something that has recently made it into kitchens and It's been the talk with people that are trying to eat healthier. It's a great substitute for any kind of binder in a dish. It takes the place of egg. Chia seed is also, the term is mucilaginous. And what that means basically is it's kind of something that's considered slimy, like okra, like flaxseed. Chia seed is in that family. And what it does is it's great for any kind, if you have any kind of inflammatory disease, if you have high blood pressure, if you have diabetes, this is great for it because what it does is it thickens and it keeps your insulin level. Your sugar levels are not going to fly up. They're going to stay level. And so that's a great thing. But I should warn you about chia seeds. Nature's Charm. Nature's Charm is I was asked what's the name of the vendor of the brand. It is Nature's Charm. You can find that at Whole Foods. You can also find it at Sprouts. But chia seeds are a great thing. You have to either add them to something. You can't take like a spoonful of chia seeds because what happens is they really swell. And so, for example, if you were to take a spoonful of chia seeds, you have to immediately drink like 8 ounces of water. I wouldn't suggest you did that, but if you do take a spoonful of chia seeds, you immediately swallow water because what it will do is it will swell. And there are people that have really endangered their health by doing that. So that's not something you should do. So we can see that this is thickening up. Now, never fear if this does not whip up like you would like it to, it's still yummy. It's still yummy. And sometimes what I do, after I've done this, I'll even put it in the freezer to chill a little bit. But don't forget it in there because it's difficult. Take it out of the bowl and forget it. Do a little more. Monsanto monk fruit powdered sugar. And you can see how this is thickened up. From a liquid, it looks like creme fraiche. It looks like a really thick cheese right now. Okay. I think we've done enough. So this is what it looks like now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in the freezer while we make our chia pudding. Let me taste it. That's yummy. Yummy, yummy. I'll be right back. The sweetener I'm using is it's as sweet as regular sugar. You know, it's interesting. Let me drop this in the freezer and I'll let you know. I'll come right back. It's interesting that you would ask that because that is true. Quite often, sugar substitutes are way sweeter than regular sugar. So that recipe would call for about a 1/4 cup of regular sugar. I used maybe 1/8 of a cup. So yes, it is. It's a much sweeter taste. In terms of aftertaste, mixed with the coconut milk, it's negligible. Eating it straight on, yes, but with the coconut milk, it's negligible. The coconut really stands out. Now, how long can it last in the freezer? It needs to be used within about an hour or so because what will happen is it will start to break down. That is something that you make literally right before you use it. You could put it in the freezer and then whip it, like thaw it out a little bit and then whip it again. Or spoon it kind of like a frozen cream or something like that. That could work, but it really needs to be eaten soon after it's made. Okay, so here we go for this super easy recipe. Now, if you have a high-speed blender, great. If you don't, you can also use something like a magic bullet, which I'm going to be using tonight because I want to use my big Vitamix. So I have my little magic bullet here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use, we're going to put all this together. Now, let me tell you something else about chia seed. Some people have a texture thing. We've talked about that before. This chia seed has kind of it reminds me of tapioca pudding. I love tapioca pudding. I don't have a problem with texture. But if you want to benefit from the nutrition of chia seeds without that texture, something that you can do is you can put it in a high-speed blender and break it down. Just let it run, okay? So that's something you can do. So this is going to take 3/4 to a 1/2 cup. I'm going to say about 3/4 because we are adding that pumpkin in it. So this is super easy to make. So there's your 3/4 cup of your plant milk. And remember I said oat milk, almond milk, even soy. I wouldn't do rice milk, it's a little bit too runny. Those are all good. And if you want to make it super luscious, use coconut milk. You can use low-fat coconut milk, but use coconut milk. If you like coconut, that's going to take you next level. So we've got that in there. To this, we're going to add another pinch of salt. We're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of our vanilla. We're going to use a nice squirt of this fresh ginger puree. I just love to kick everything up a notch. We're going to do our pumpkin spice, and let's see how much of that are we using. 2 teaspoons of pumpkin spice. That's about that. I like my things to be generously spiced and seasoned. And we've talked about that. Now this is sweet, it's not savory, but especially when I fix savory things, I like to build layers of flavor, so I don't need a lot of salt. Well, it's the same when you're doing something sweet. You build different textures, different flavors, different spices and things like that, they just explode into this beautiful harmony in your mouth, and you don't need a lot of sugar. So we've got the spice in there. We're going to put in 5 of our dates that we soaked in boiling water. Okay. And you can use honey if you'd like. Yeah, you can use any kind of pumpkin. This is just regular, like the regular native pumpkin that they use here for like Halloween and Thanksgiving. But you can use kabocha, you can use calabash, you can use butternut, all of those things, because you're adding some sweetness to it. So it's going to change it from the savory kind of adaptation to a sweet adaptation. So we've got that in there. And the last thing that we're going to add is our pumpkin. Now, this is the kind of recipe, use as much or as little as you want. So this is just about a 1/2 cup. I'm going to use just under a 1/2 cup of this. Okay. And I'm going to put this here, blend it up. And the blending really is to make sure that the dates break down. If you're not using dates, you really don't have to use a blender. You just do it all in a bowl. So we taste this and see what it tastes like. If I need to adjust my seasoning at all. That's good, but it definitely needs some more dates. It definitely needs more dates. Put that back on. So you can even do this with carrot. If you want to do like a carrot cake chia pudding, you can do a carrot. You can do it plain, not adding anything at all. There's so many different things you can do with this. Much better. Much better. So this is going to go in our bowl. And we're going to add a quarter cup of chia seeds. Actually, I'm going to use this whisk, and we're going to whisk it together. Now, you know, they say you eat with your eyes, and to some people, this may not look too appetizing. So my suggestion for you is use white chia seeds. They're the same exact thing. They're just white, and they're less kind of freaky looking, but they are slightly more expensive because they're white. Do the dates and sugar sub-exist together? Do the dates alter the sweetness of the flavor? Sugar exists together, dates. So the monk fruit sweetener, are you asking if the monk fruit sweetener, how did the dates? It tastes fine. It really tastes fine. You're gonna see how I plate this. One doesn't cancel out the other or overwhelm the other or anything like that. So if you all can see, this has already started to thicken up. Okay? This has already started to thicken up. So after you've done this, you just want to cover it with some plastic. Put it in your refrigerator. Best case scenario, you do it for at least 4 hours. If you don't have to have it really stiff, you can do it even an hour. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge, and I'm gonna grab the other one that I made ahead of time. And when it's finished, this is what it looks like. It's solidified, okay? It's solidified. So what we're gonna do, again, just to make this a little more attractive, because we want people to want to eat it. I don't know. I mean, this isn't offensive to me, but somebody may not be happy with this. So what I'm gonna do, I've got some crystallized ginger here that I'm going to mince up. I've got some pecans that I'm gonna mince up, so we can add flavor and beauty to this. So I'm just gonna just wash your fingers when you do this. Okay. Okay, there's our ginger. I'm gonna take some nuts. You can toast them ahead of time if you want to. You don't have to. Sometimes I like to toast them. But this is another way to add some flavor, texture, protein, nutrition to it. Carefully cut these. Okay. Go over it again like this. If minted is fine or not as fine as you would like, keep it chunkier. And so let's talk a little bit more about chia seeds. I know our time is almost up, but chia seeds are great antioxidants. They're high in fiber. Let's talk about the pumpkin. Pumpkin, beta carotene. Carotene is great. It fights cancers. It's another antioxidant. Best case scenario, you buy your own pumpkin, you peel it and you roast it for about 30 minutes or so, and then puree it. If you're trying to go the shortcut, you can always buy it in. So let me go grab our cream so we can plate this. Just in that little bit of time, it's thickened up a little bit more for me. So here we go. So I'm going to take a spoon of this pudding. It's kind of like a chia pudding trifle. You know when you do like layers of textures, like sometimes people will put like pieces of cake or something like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to do that. I'm going to put a little bit of this cardamom cream on top of it so that when your spoon goes down in there, you're getting all of that goodness. And put a little bit of my crystallized ginger with my pecans. Then I'm going to come back over here. My spoon go too low in there. And I'm going to put some more pudding on top. Now, if you use more pudding, it'll have a more of an orange color as well. And a little bit more of our cream. This is an easy dessert, like if your kids wanted to make something, this is something they can make really easily. Okay, and we're going to sprinkle a little bit more of our ginger and some more of our nuts on top. And there you have it. This is our pumpkin spice chia pudding with coconut cardamom cream. Can you see that? Can we see that from up top? Mmm. Got crystallized ginger and pecans on it. So you all have something that you can make. If you didn't chill your coconut, chill it now. You can have this tomorrow. By the time you let your chia pudding set, if you're cooking along with me, tomorrow it'll be nice and set. You make that coconut cardamom whipped cream and you will thank me. And if by chance you did already, thank you, Cheryl, thank you for that. If by chance you already did that, grab a nice big spoon. If you're gonna sit in front of that TV in about 30 minutes and have some comfort dessert that is delicious and just so happens to be good for you. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.